The UFC, ladies and gentlemen, and others. It's a game where on one night, a UFC fighter can look incredible. They're quick, putting together combos, and are a step ahead of their opponent. But that same fighter a couple months down the line can look god awful. They're slow, get tired quickly, and lack the will or want to win the fight. Now, there's a lot of factors that go into someone performing well. How did the training camp go? Are there any undisclosed injuries? Was there a weight cut? Or even, how do the styles of the two fighters match up? A grappling heavy dude going up against a world-class striker can make that striker look like he's never even been in a fight. The fighting game is very unpredictable, but there have been select times where a fighter comes in 100%. A true 100%. Not just in MMA, but in all of sports, when an athlete goes off and performs exceedingly well in a match, it's known as being in the flow state. Like when LeBron James drops over 40, a Messi gets a hat trick, or a Usain Bolt gets on a world record sprint. During that brief time, it seems like the athlete made no mistakes and just did everything perfect. Announcers will say things like so-and-so is in the zone or locked in, but the real description is that person was in the flow state. Like every concept, there has to be a starting point or person that thought of it. The theory of relativity, Albert Einstein. The atomic bomb, Robert Oppenheimer. And for the concept of flow state, there's this guy. Oh, my bad, not him. There's this guy. Mihaly. Anyways, the idea of flow state isn't really that old. The concept dates back like 40 years, which in the bigger picture isn't much. In the 1980s and 90s, Mihaly stumbled upon these artists and painters that would get so involved in their work they wouldn't eat, drink, or sleep for extended periods of time. So much like your average Fortnite gamer or streamer, these artists would give up the basic needs of survival and ignore the hormonal and mental cues of the body. This intrigued Mihaly, and as he dug deeper, the theory of flow was born. Now, what is the flow state exactly? To sum it up, it's when you have complete involvement in whatever it is you're doing and you're doing it to the best you possibly can. Now, I'm not giving out participation points. It's a time where you're hyper-focused on something and everything else is put aside. Now, where it gets weird, not Tom Brady kissing his kids on the lips weird, but a different type of weird, is the biological application of the flow state. For those that don't know, there's the autonomic nervous system and the somatic nervous system. The somatic system is the one you can control or voluntary. You think and it happens. Things like muscle control, such as when you pick up a glass of water or flex your tiny biceps. On the other hand, not literally, is the autonomic system, which is the stuff that you can't control or involuntary. Your body just does it for you. Things like breathing, heart rate, organ function, hormone levels, digestive processes, the list goes on and on. So coming back to flow state, during it, aspects of your autonomic system are being influenced. That is, the uncontrollable is being controlled. Think of a time where you spent hours doing something, working on homework, playing a sport, or waiting for those god-awful UFC prelims to all end by decision. After that length of time, you snap out of it and you realize that your head hurts or you're starving or you're thirsty. You just, to an extent, entered the flow state and had a lack of self-consciousness. Now, how do you achieve flow state? Drugs. All the drugs. Just kidding, don't do drugs, kids.
I just want to shake some sense into you kids that are using drugs and think about using it. So remember, don't, or else.
This part is hard in that there is no set answer here. One's mind can only focus a certain amount of information at a time. This number is around 110 bits of information per second. For example, understanding speech takes about 40 to 60 bits of information per second. Think of your brain as a computer. There's a limit of applications you can run before the computer slows down or crashes. When you're talking to someone, you can't fully focus on something else because your listening takes up a certain amount of processing power. If you try to switch focus, then you might miss some of the words that are being said to you. Yes, some people are better than this at others, like good multitaskers, but there's always a limit. Okay, so let's say you focus all of your processing power of roughly 110 bits of information per second on one topic. Now you're in the flow state. Easy, right? Well, that's still not the flow state. Remember the artists and weird streamers that message little kids? They focus all their attention on one thing, including giving up basic distinctive feelings such as hunger or fatigue. These feelings are part of the subconscious and previously mentioned autonomic nervous system, which you can't fully voluntarily control. You can't just spike up your melatonin levels on command and fall asleep, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video at 2 a.m. right now. Great, so being in the flow state is out of your control because you can't control your subconscious. Well, yes and no. To get a little more confusing, yes, you can't just activate Super Saiyan mode on command, but there are steps you can take to set yourself up for a flow state. I narrowed it down to 5 of the biggest rules. Rule 1, don't force it. To get into the flow, the activity has to feel rewarding to you and come naturally. Rule 2, establish clear and set goals. There needs to be something that will capture all your attention and keep you focused and not get bored. Rule 3, reduce distraction. Once you're in the flow state, your brain will automatically filter out distractions as you go, but before that, you have to manually do so. Things like getting off social media, stopping yourself from daydreaming, getting off YouTube. But hold up, finish this video first though. Rule 4. Again, seriously, don't force it. It won't happen if you're using some of that processing power focusing on how to get into the flow state. This puts you in a hopeless loop. Rule 5. As simple as it sounds, go with the flow. Things will come naturally as you continue to put forth the effort. Now, this is my take on the flow state. I'm not normally a guy that jumps into these philosophical or hypothetical things, but in fighting, I see the term flow state being thrown around a lot. I'm not saying this is some secret God mode trick where you become a superhero or supervillain, whatever floats your boat. I am saying that the concept of a flow state is what you yourself make of it. It's a real thing. The applications of a flow state are endless. You can apply it to your hobbies, sports, jobs, whatever you want. The power of the flow state is the power that you give it. Not to get too philosophical, but it is true. For now, you are the only one that can control your mind. So control it while you still have the time to do so.
So for the first two applications we're going to aim for in humans are restoring vision